I was built on how do I do a bowl and sandwich concept.
Right.
All right. And put a couple knickknacks that take me back, like chicharrones, you know, and how do I do it in a fun way where people can order food, pick up delivery, have it outside on standing tables, have a beer, and kind of be like, this is comfort food. This is soul food.
Right.
And it still holds up when you get it delivered 45, minutes to an hour later, and you're still like, holy shit. So it's a sandwich and bowl concept. And I said, well, I can scale this.
Hello!
There it is. Welcome to a new episode of Pan Con Podcast. I'm not sure what number episode this is. It's possible it's 100.
It feels like 1 million.
It feels like too many.
Yeah.
Too many point all the episodes. I am Nick Jiménez. I'm joined as usual by Mike Beltran.
It's me.
That's right. Chili Cook-Off champion, 8th grade basketball MVP.
Yep. That's factual, man.
That's facts?
That is
factual, man. The chubbiest point guard in all the land.
Apologies
Look
to
at you now.
Apologies to all of our listeners. We are not joined today by Petey the dog. I know this is where almost all of you turn off the podcast because that's all you're here for.
Everyone's already tuned out. That's it.
And we are joined by special guest, Chef Louie Estrada.
Yes.
If you are a fan of Cuban food anywhere, I would say that, Louie Estrada's Cuban food coming out of that tiny little place in New York has to be like pound for pound the most photographed Cuban food.
Wow, I'll take that.
No, I mean, I think that's fair to say. For somebody that does not live in New York, hasn't been there in years, and really has no intention of going, I feel like I know your menu better than I know a lot of Cuban restaurants.
It definitely got a lot of, photo love. I mean, it was very, just the whole spot.
And I don't have Instagrammable,
which I love,
lights.
That's great.
Except for my neon sign that, I did only to attract people from coming off the avenue.
Which is great.
That's the only reason why I put that neon sign.
I mean, that's what they're for,
and
right?
They don't take pictures of the neon sign. Everyone's taking pictures of the food, so
That's good. That's good.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got?
Yeah.
Man.
That's what I make the big bucks for.
Yeah.
Good job, Nick.
Thanks for taking the time, coming on the show.
No, thank you guys.
So, you're living in New York now, or are you living in Miami? What's the deal?
So living in New York, got an apartment in Miami. I think I took that step.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, through the pandemic, New York got hit hard. Mm-hmm. And New York, our living quarters are way smaller than in Miami.
That's a shock to so many people.
600 square feet.
Yeah.
And you're stuck at home. And in the beginning, it was cool. You binged shows and you caught up on shit, especially running a business. You know that TV's a thing that you turn on and then you pass out to in the first 15 minutes.
Correct.
So for me, it was nice in the beginning. I didn't struggle how people did. And, fortunately, the restaurant was doing its thing. We were built for it. It was una ventanita, which we did deliveries through.
Right. I find that, sorry to cut you off, I find that's incredibly interesting, right? What carried our company during the pandemic was Chugs 1.0, right?
Absolutely.
And then, obviously, Ariete and Nave, and even Taurus, they were, still there, and they would do fine. But, man, Chugs was, it was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was just because that's what comfort, approachability, and just that quick service, I'm going to get this, I'm going to take it, I'm going to go home. We did our own delivery. We did a bunch of shit, and it was easier for people, and it just did so much better than everything else.
Listen, you said it, comfort, right? And everyone's home, everyone's hanging out, and when they think food, they're thinking comfort. It's different when you're going out and you want a night out, and you're looking at the Ariettes and the Naves, and when you're not doing that, it was the same for me. I mean, we were doing it when we were at home.
Yeah.
And we're like, whoa, what am I going to eat today? Well, I need something comforting on top of the fact that I was, half a bottle of whiskey down.
Yeah.
That happened a lot. So we thrived during that pandemic, and we have a great customer base, we're in a great neighborhood. Lucky that Brooklyn loves food, but I call it Cuban soul food, man. And we know in New York, the Cuban food market isn't huge.
Yeah.
So but for me, it was doing it right, man. It's doing comfort food that people want to eat over and over again.
I mean, it's that honest approach to Cuban food that, like, I mean, I don't know how much it really exists in New York. I mean, you would know better than I do. I don't know. When people tell me New York, I don't think about any Cuban food.
No.
I honestly, when people tell me about Cuban food in New York, your spot is the only spot I really think about.
I mean, you have a lot of Cuban restaurants run by either Dominicans or Puerto Ricans, so
not
know
Cuban food.
It's not Cuban food.
I remember
Sofrito's different. It's not Cuban food.
Oh, it's interesting. When I was in, I've probably said this story before too, but when I was in DC, I don't know, it had to be like 2 years ago already, and we had a couple drinks and we were like spinning our way through DC, past this place, and it was a Cuban restaurant, and I'm like, they had a menu outside, and I'm looking at the menu and I'm like, this is not fucking Cuban food. And then I discovered, Nick, you remember this is the one that has like the Che painting?
Yeah.
And I went inside and I told them they should be fucking ashamed of themselves. But they had like guacamole and chips. I'm like, this is not Cuban food, bro. This is not what it is.
Funny about the guacamole and chips, we have a place that's called Cafe Havana right next to me. It's maybe 4 or 5 blocks up. Guacamole and chips. And I'm like, well, it's not Cuban.
Yeah, not at all.
You're trying to sell food through a name.
Yeah.
But it's not a Cuban food.
Well, those aren't people that are connected to like the things that we're connected
the culture,
to, right?
No.
Yeah. They don't give a fuck.
Absolutely not.
They care about the almighty dollar.
We actually have a mutual friend, Thomas.
Thomas with
Prado.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I love Thomas, man.
And he opened up in, what was it, South Carolina?
Yeah, right outside of Charleston.
Yeah.
I forgot what the neighborhood was called, but it was great.
Spanglish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he reached out to me before that, and asking questions, and love the spot and this and that, and we built a crazy friendship. Love those guys. Him and his wife are
the best.
Super genuine, mint. She's got, both of them have like genuine hearts and crazy souls. Like they're just amazing human beings.
Yeah, I was sad when Thomas left, only because I thought that he was another one of the people that was really like pushing for evolution of Cuban food in Miami, and like that whole thing. I really believed in that, but I'm glad he was doing it somewhere else, and I was glad that he was like preaching that culture elsewhere,
Yeah.
And it was great to see them open that spot, and do their thing in Charleston, South Carolina.
In Charleston.
Yeah.
Crazy. I remember when he told me he was going over there, and I was like, wow, it's a big step.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, man. You're introducing someone to a culture.
Right.
Especially when they don't. You think Charleston, you think barbecue, you think there's so many things you think about other than Cuban food. Yeah,
you think about like the Sean Brocks of the world, right?
Exactly.
You think totally different dynamic, but Thomas has had the opportunity to preach what our culture really means to a whole group of people that have no fucking idea what it stands for, right? Like, it's crazy because you can ask so many people about Cuban food and they have no fucking idea what that even means.
No.
Or just Cuban culture in general, right? Because
Yeah.
we've been sitting behind the mask of oppression for 60 years, right?
Absolutely.
So no one really knows who we are unless it's like a cheapened brand done by people that only care about money,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's good. It was great that he did that. I was sad that he left, but it was good that he was still doing his thing,
Yeah. Because he was in New York for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
was in New York
worked
for a bit. Westlight,
for-
I think.
Yeah, that's Carmelini restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he worked for Carmelini down here too, I believe.
Yeah.
So he works for Connor, which is a fucking G.
Mm-hmm.
Connor Hanlon's a beast. So, yeah, it's interesting when you look at the country in total, and there's another guy in San Francisco or LA that's got a small, like, Cuban pop-up. I don't know if it's like a brick and mortar restaurant, but he's doing some really nice shit, man. Some really, really amazing stuff. I'm going to look it up because I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I just missed him. He was in Miami for a couple days, and we're trying to link up for coffee, but, shit's complicated.
Yeah.
So, but, you see, like, little spots, and it's usually people around our age, right? Like, anywhere between late 20s to 40, trying to, like, push the envelope to really, like, get our food and our culture out there, because we're not reinventing it. We're just, like, we're putting it out there to the world. Like, we're not some other Latin cultures are more exposed to the mainstream.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to food, we're not.
No.
We're not at all.
No. I mean, and listen, my concept wasn't something that was thought about the way it came out. Mm-hmm. I mean, I went to New York, I bartended, and I said, I'm going to be the best fucking bartending in New York City. And I said, well, in between that, during the day, I'll work triples and, I'll run restaurants for other people, you know, and I got through work, running restaurants, I've been to great restaurants and I've been at restaurants that have failed, because of hurricanes and the chef just getting depressed and wanting to get off the line, you know, and having other people run his restaurant. But it taught me a lot. And the bartending thing was always great. So I said, I'm going to open up a bar. And in that, I said, maybe we do a speakeasy, You're talking about La Esquinas of the world, where you're cooking off, some crazy food upstairs. No one knows that you have this beautiful bar downstairs. And I said, well, maybe I'll do that with Cuban food. And when I saw the location, I said, well, I got to put the tins away and I got to put a chef coat on and just start cooking abuela's food and get back into the kitchen. I didn't go to culinary school, but I love food and I loved cooking. And I said, all right, time to put it back on.
Right.
So for me, it was, man, if I'm going to do Cuban food, I'm going to do it right. There's a lot of Cuban places that we know aren't represented well.
Sure. Yeah.
Even at home.
Yeah.
And we grew up eating it, but like you said earlier, the best food is at home.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like the Miami market with Cuban food is so saturated, right? That there's a lot of just like stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of just stuff, and then there's the people that stand out as doing really good stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's very hard to call because it's just like there's so much of it here. It's like what's really good and what's not good.
It's
like
tough.
It's just saturated.
Yeah.
There's just so much. Like every corner has a croqueta.
I was just talking to Nick about this. I don't sell croquetas.
I mean, because
and I love them.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass.
They're a pain in the ass.
And I made 1,000 croquetas for my grand opening, and I said, well, my favorite, and I will say it to my last day, is Y La Canaria. What Y La Canaria does with that ham croqueta is that's my nostalgia. I grew up right next to Isla. I was 127th and Coral Way, and so
I think they are the boss of that.
They are.
Well, I mean, I also would say that just like the food that they do, also on top of that, is very good. So it's hard to.
I was gonna put it on my menu, and I was gonna try to ship them, and I talked to John, and I tried getting them over there, but of course we knew, as far as margins, it just wasn't gonna work.
Right.
So I said, you know what, I'll make it. And after that first week that we sold out, I said I'll never do it again. I said and then I gotta hire an army to make croquetas every week.
Yeah.
And that cuts into my overhead. I said I can't do it. So,
I have an army making croquetas right now.
Absolutely.
We have 3 croquetas on the menu, and we have an army of people making.
Absolutely.
And that'll change. But I mean, just like conceptually, like when you build a place, like Chugs needs to have them, right?
Yeah.
The model is built around stuff like that: pastelitos, croquetas, coffee, and then a different, I would say, a very different experience of Cuban food. You know?
Or mine was it. I was built on how do I do a bowl and sandwich concept.
Right.
All right. And put a couple knickknacks that take me back, like chicharrones, and how do I do it in a fun way where people can order food, pick up delivery, have it outside on standing tables, have a beer, and kind of be like, this is comfort food. This is soul food.
Right.
And it still holds up when you get it delivered 45, minutes to an hour later, and you're still like, holy shit. So it's a sandwich and bowl concept. And I said, well, I can scale this. And my whole thing was, how do you do somewhere like that you can scale Cuban food that holds up and it's fucking delicious.
Yeah. I mean it's interesting, like introducing Americans to a bowl concept like Cuban food, right?
Yeah.
But it does lend itself super well to that.
Yeah.
Like extremely well. I love seeing the fact that like New York liked it so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Likewise.
I love the fact that they liked it. They went, they ate it. They were all about it.
I was taking a shit, bro. You know,
course, but anytime you open a restaurant, you take it's always a fucking gamble, bro.
And for me, it was, I was comfortable behind a bar.
Yeah.
First time someone called me chef, I was like, huh? And I had to do a double take. And I started, to realize with all the press we were getting after that I was like, all right, I have to get into this role. But if I want to get into this role, I need to learn more about it. And it wasn't just cooking at home.
Right.
So it was more running a restaurant, becoming a restaurateur. If we're going to get into this and we're going to do it right, and the restaurant took off, I said, well, now it's time to go.
Yeah. I would say that the uncomfort came for me when I had to go from being just a chef to a chef restaurateur. It's a very different dynamic.
Absolutely.
The things that you think about, the things that you do, your day to day changes very much. It's stressful, right? Because it's not that I wasn't comfortable in that realm. It's just not what I did. So it's not what I did for 15 years.
Yeah.
Leading up to that too. So it was just a different arena, and you have to adjust, and you have to get comfortable, and it takes time.
Absolutely.
It really does take time, and
you're learning throughout the whole process.
Well, I think the people that fail are the ones that don't realize they need to learn.
Yeah.
Once you take that step and say, okay, I got a lot to learn here. Let me shut my fucking mouth. Let me understand that I have to grow in this role. Then, I think you're good.
Yeah.
And it's also hiring the proper people around you that help you learn the things that you may not know. And for me, that was huge. The addition of Brittany, the addition of my entire director staff, the beverage director, Tom, there's a lot of stuff there that just, that it wasn't my bag, right?
Yeah.
I just worked saute or grill for the last
You have to trust the people around you.
Yeah, and you have to hire well, which is tough. It's a tough place to be.
It is tough.
So let's talk about the evolution of getting to New York.
Whew.
Born and raised here, yeah?
For me, born and raised.
Yeah.
Conchita. So, Conchita. Columbus.
For those people that don't know, Conchita is it's a middle school.
It's everything.
Yeah,
K through 8.
K through 8 school.
Yeah.
K through 8
This is
school.
Conchita Espinosa
Academy.
Yeah.
Right next to Belen.
Yeah.
So-
Oh man, yeah.
Right next to Belen. I'm a Columbus kid.
Good for you. That's
So
you just know.
We can share him. I'm a Conchita kid and you're a Columbus kid.
yeah, done. We can share. So that was that, man. And I grew up like most people know in the club industry.
Mm-hmm.
Young kid, knowing a lot of sports guys, and people signing early at that time, and I had good connects and private school kid throwing clubs, and that's when clubs in Miami were the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So we were having 18 and over clubs, and
I remember those.
we're all going to Amnesia and Colors and
Oh man.
Warsaw and Liquid, and I could just stay here for another hour just naming clubs. And
Liquid.
for me, I loved it. I was on top of the world. I had my senior year, I was playing baseball. My senior year, my cousin passed, and that started to change the dynamic of where my life kind of just started to turn.
Sure.
Right? And went to UF, or I'll say I went to Gainesville.
Okay, there it is.
All right?
There it is. I know so many people.
I went
like
to
that.
Gainesville.
And so many people like that. So where'd you go to
Because
college?
we went through
Gainesville.
Santa Fe, you work your way up. The thing is, I never worked up. I was bartending, having the time of my life, and I think I lived the fraternity life without being in a fraternity for the 3-4 years.
I bet my best friend went to Gainesville also.
Yeah.
He went to Gainesville.
Yeah, I went to Gainesville University.
Yeah.
Listen, but learned a lot of things while I was there. Always wanted to live the college experience. Didn't do it through baseball and a scholarship, so I figured, you know what? It was time to get out of Miami.
You definitely get that there, the college experience.
It's a college experience.
There's college towns, and then there's towns with a college, right? There's college, and Gainesville is a fucking college town. It is a fucking, because I went to a UF
I mean, when you're talking about, you have the university, and then 5 mile radius, it's all students.
Yeah.
it's a fucking college town. You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
the swamp. You have
It's mayhem.
It's fucking mayhem.
I went there twice. Once for UM game, another time just to hang out. And you know, like it's an experience being a Canes fan going into there because Canes fans are very specific, right?
Yeah.
We're pretty ratchet.
Yeah.
We come from all walks of life.
And we're always looking for a fight.
Always.
Yeah.
And then over there, you know, they're just built a little different.
Yeah.
You know, so like when they get proposed with like a fight for talking shit, they're just like, no, bro, we're fine. Everything's okay. I never really got the experience of that, but in Miami, it's very different. Very, very different.
So, you know, did the college route, came back to Miami, back into the clubs, you know, in my early 20s. Before I left, I mean, my first gig behind a bar, well, second or third gig was Houston's.
Yeah.
So before Hillstone, it was Houston's on Miracle Mile.
Right.
And I wasn't old enough to work behind the bar, the main bar. So they had me at service. And that's kind of how I started bartending.
How old were you? There's like an age limit to work
So I
behind
was
the bar?
20. You had to be 21 to serve alcohol.
Oh, so how old
But I
were you
can
then?
work on, I was like 20.
Oh, yeah.
So I can work at the service bar because you don't have to deal with any customers, but you had 30 tickets down to the floor.
Yeah,
you
because
know?
you're doing the whole dining room.
You're doing the whole dining room. So that's how that went. Went to college, came back, back into the clubs, and it got to the point, you know, I got tired.
Yeah.
And I said, the ceiling in Miami now, I mean, at 39 now. So back then, it was clubs. I don't think the real estate thing had happened yet. And I was like, well, I'm out of here. Went to New York, you know, took a leap and said, well, I want to challenge myself.
But what got you to New York? Was there like a thing? Was there like a connection? Was there?
So I dated. All right. So I started dating a dancer that danced for Telemundo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I dabbled in that world for a hot minute.
I love that. Yeah.
And and she lived in New York, so she spent a couple months out here. Went back to New York and had to make a decision. And at that point, throwing clubs, coming home at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, everything that came along with that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it'll be. I need like I said before, I need a higher ceiling. I need to challenge myself. Why not New York City? It's New York. And I was still young enough, to kind of make that decision. And
that was what, when you were 24?
24, 25.
Yeah. Yeah, still young enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did it. And, of course, everyone back home was like, oh, he'll be back in a year. He's a Miami kid. Like, he bleeds Miami. And I did.
Yeah,
but
you could be a Miami kid in New York, no problem.
Absolutely.
I find a lot of fucking bullshit in that whole world of like Miami and New York. If you're like a real Miami kid, you're just.
Would I ask this on the floor?
Oh, on the floor. It's fine. I mean, you can. I don't see it as a problem. I just never gained a love for New York to want to be there for more than like 5 days.
I was the opposite.
Yeah.
So my first year, I lived in Jersey because that's really where she lived, was in Jersey. And for the first year and a half, met some amazing people, amazing friends. The relationship didn't last that long, but it got me there.
Yeah.
And Jersey was a test. Lived on the beach before that, had everything in the palm of my hand. Was throwing clubs and living the lifestyle. And to then have to live in Jersey and kind of take that step back of like becoming humble.
Yeah, I mean Jersey is
was very, very humbling.
It's like a workhorse.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's everyone's a teacher, wrestling coach.
Yeah, wrestling coach.
You're living in your 3 family homes, and we don't know what that is in Miami, and everywhere over there is 2, 3, 4 family homes. Wow. So your neighbors are in the same house. Basically, they're just different doors and different apartments. And for me, it was tough taking the bus into New York City every day and having to commute on a Greyhound and, or taking the PATH train and throwing clubs because that's how I got there. I was dating someone, but I connected. Her family was very big into the club industry over there. So I said, well, I can just roll into it this way, get myself a bar gig, and that's it. And that's what I did. So I was doing doubles or triples, man, where I would start my day at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, till 9, 10 o'clock at night, and then go straight to the club, change and go to the club till 4 o'clock in the morning. If anyone knows how PATH trains run from New York City to New Jersey at 4 o'clock in the morning, brother, there was a lot of cold nights on a platform, shaking.
Yeah.
Because I'm still a Miami kid not wearing New York clothes. And I'm like, shit, this coat is not, it's not weatherproof.
Right.
So there was a lot of shaky nights, bro, where I got humbled, and I got humbled really quick. But I think throughout that process, hey, you get thicker skin.
Yeah.
You're not babied like you are in Miami. Oh, Papi, I got you. Don't worry about it.
Right.
I got you dinner. You didn't have it over there.
Yeah.
So I challenged myself. It was like, my mom would call and be like, are you okay? And I'm like, Mom, I'm amazing. And then I would hang up the phone, and you have watery eyes because you're like, I'm struggling. But I'm doing it, and it's a testament to, what my parents have done their entire lives. Putting me through private school, sacrificing. I look back at it now at 39, and I'm like, damn. Mm-hmm. Like, they made okay money. My dad was a cop for the city of Miami. And my mom, worked for import-export, and made okay money. We're middle class, but they were putting me through Conchita. They were putting me through Columbus. It's expensive. Mm-hmm. And it's 2 boys. So I was looking back at that and saying, I can't fail. There is no failure.
It's interesting, right? Because I've been asked that question a lot in the last, year or so. It's like, why do you do or stand on the things that you stand on? It's like, because so many people.
Yep.
So many people sacrifice so much for me to have the opportunity, for a lot of us to have this opportunity to do what we're doing, right? So what's the best way to honor them? The best way to honor them is to continue their story and to make sure that story doesn't die. And we do it through food. I do it through food. You do it through food. There's so much to that. It's not just like, we don't just cook to cook.
No.
Like we're keeping a story alive.
There's so much behind it.
Keeping a story alive that people have been trying to kill for so long. Right? And so much culture that people have been trying to fucking put down forever. And that's really our job now. Like, it's what you said. Here in Miami, we have a safety net, right? Like, I know I can go to my grandmother's house automatically. Yeah. And I will feel 100% better.
You're a nenecito.
Yeah.
Grandma's going to make you feel good.
All the time. When I left to Virginia for 5 years, it was like, man.
It's tough. You're alone.
We are, yeah.
Doesn't matter how many friends you have.
Right.
It's not Miami. It's not the people you grew up with. It's not your backbone. Like
you said, there's a croqueta in every corner.
Yeah.
And that comfort of having a coffee and a croqueta at whatever time you want changes your life and your outlook on your day-to-day so fucking much. And that's why for me, I don't know, maybe I could open up a restaurant somewhere else, but I could not live somewhere else.
Let me tell you something. That was a huge thing. Cafecito. Mm-hmm. You can't get One is cafecito, and 2 is I've learned through opening up at this restaurant how many Miami people are actually in New York.
Oh, yeah?
And it was crazy. I'm like, out of the woodworks, out of a sudden, it's like, oh, Miami. And it was like, I can't find a cafecito anywhere here. I'm like, because they don't know what it is. You ask for a cafecito, even at a Cuban restaurant, and they're like, espresso?
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I'm good.
Yeah, it's fine.
So for me, it was that. I mean, I saved 2 feet on 115 square feet. That's as big as my place is.
Yeah.
My shop is 115 square feet. I saved 2 feet of that.
Man,
for a coffee machine.
115 is so small.
It's a closet. 200 square feet downstairs in a basement to prep. It's a closet. I got ovens. Wild. I got 2 ovens, electrical ovens, 6 inches from the floor for health department.
Right.
And that's the only place that they could fit. And I have porks running 15 hours a day.
I'm sure.
Overnight.
115 is like
it's a walk-in closet in Miami.
We in our evolution of talking about scale, something that we talk about is a Chugs Express model, which is basically just the front counter thing. And is that stampable, and what I can do with that? But even that is 315 square feet.
Well, I took ventanitas that we grew up in.
Yeah.
For me, it was Islas. I go to Islas all the time. And that was shop talk. That's where politics were talked about. That's where everything. So that's where I went with my dad, and I grew up in that. So for me, I looked at a box, and I said, how can I build this out to cook food out of? Well, the essentials. I'm going to do picadillo. You know, I brought the classics out. I brought the stuff that, for me, took me home.
Wait, picadillo with or without raisins?
All right. So
this is a hot topic.
So
right
this is
now.
very hot topic, and it's all right. So I do it without. Listen, I can do them both ways. Me personally.
No, but what do you
at
prefer?
Grandma's house? I put the raisins to the side.
Okay.
So I let her cook it in the raisins.
But
right?
she cooks it with raisins.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Abuela makes it with raisins.
So Abuela makes it with raisins.
You heard it here first, everyone.
I did it without raisins. But there was I mean, obviously for me it was, how do I introduce an American public to Cuban culture and Cuban food and not scare them? So the picadillo it's one of my favorite. I don't care if you did it with white rice or, you know, once when my mom cooked for me, you know, my mom wasn't the best in the kitchen. It was my abuela. And
it's mine too.
And my father's
Mom,
a
I love you,
monster
though.
in the kitchen. So for me, it was, you know, my mom would do mashed potatoes. I don't care how you do the picadillo. But for me, it was no raisins, only because I had to teach an American public. And if you put raisins on the menu, they would have been like, eh. Now, the picadillo is one of the hottest plates I have in the restaurant. I have 4 or 5 bowls, and the picadillo flies. Because once they understood that it just wasn't ground beef, it just wasn't cooked in a saute pan,
Right.
you know, that there was a process to it,
Yeah.
then they're like, all right. And once they tasted it, it's soul food. And I don't care if you're not Cuban. I don't care where you come from. That's one of those plates that you eat, you close your eyes, and you say, I just got transported somewhere.
Yeah.
That was picadillo for me.
Yeah.
So, you know, from picadillo, and I do, you know, I have, you know, bistec encebollado. You know, we do a fish bowl, we do things like that. But the picadillo was the one thing that I needed to get perfect.
Where do you cook fish at in 115 square feet?
So I have a flat top. So I marinate my fish, flat top. It's a 3-footer,
Yeah,
small.
Yeah,
my
no,
fryer is 18 inches, and I do chicharrones. I do maduros. I do empanadas. Oof, that little fryer goes through hell. I always have to have one backed up.
Yeah, but think about it. You've paid for it 1,000 times over.
Oh, 1,000 times.
Yeah.
1,000. That's why I saved 2 feet for the coffee machine. People looked at me like, you're going to sell coffee out of this place? And I'm like, you don't understand.
No, but it's
Once someone finds out that I have cafecito, it's going to blow up.
Yeah, Cuban coffee.
That's
it's
it.
just like any kind of Cuban coffee, it's like changes the game completely, you know, because then it's really, it well rounds the concept. Time out. Would you like a cocktail?
I would love a cocktail.
Casey Raven.
Yeah.
Cameo on the podcast here.
You're live on the podcast.
I think
Say
it's
hi to
been a while
everyone.
since the last Casey cameo.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Thank you.
Thank God for
The,
that.
the excitement level from Casey.
Salud.
Salute. Cheers.
Slightly
Thank-
above a corpse.
Thanks, Case.
So welcome.
Yeah, we did it. Oh, we'll do
Little
it
more
again.
tap,
We'll do it again.
boom.
We'll do it again.
Delicious.
Yeah. So, all right. How long have you been open in New York now?
So we're on our 5th year.
Amazing.
5th year.
5 years are big.
5 years.
Well, I mean,
Listen, I'm not going to say we got lucky. And I did things, I got ballsy. You know, I knew when I opened up that, you know, Instagram was a big thing. Getting your followers up for me was, how do I do something very organic and not pay for things?
don't sell your soul to the devil.
Don't sell your soul to the food guys, you know. I got lucky, man. I think people were talking about it enough to where, and I had friends in the industry that got some big names out there, you know. Food Baby, you know, and all these big names that had a huge following, and they kicked it off. I mean, the first day I opened, you had some of these people that weren't asking for free food.
Supporters.
Very, very big supporters. I think they were excited about Cuban food in New York.
Right.
And I was stoked about that because I think you and I share the feeling of the DMs for free food.
Yeah.
And
I don't get many of those anymore.
Yeah, and I'm same. And
Yeah.
I'm one of those, and I still run my Instagram almost 5 years in, and because I want to be in charge of answering people. That's gonna end at one point, probably soon,
It's gotta, man.
because it is taxing.
I was on a call this morning, because I still do 2 of them,
It's taxing.
and I'm like, bro, I
And
can't
it adds
do
a
this
lot of
anymore.
stress, and it adds. People don't understand that we go to sleep thinking differently.
Yeah.
All right, so we go to sleep, and you're you're thinking about a duck press. I'm thinking about flipping a Cuban sandwich, and we're thinking about seating, and there's so many things that wake you up in the middle of the night.
Well, I mean, you think about labor, payroll,
everything,
food, and then don't forget to post.
Don't forget to post. And what times are the best to post so you can get traction on that post?
What are the times that you post?
So for me, and times are changing. The algorithm has changed. I used to post at 10 in the morning because for me, I open at 11, 12.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, let me get someone right after breakfast. They're too full. How do I post at 10:30 when they're in the office and they're thinking of like, what am I going to do for lunch?
Isn't it wild?
It's crazy. Think about this. You got to think about everything.
Well, and it's just like for Chugs, I'm like, man, we open at 8 in the morning. What the fuck am I supposed to do for that?
Post a croqueta at 6 a.m.?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Bro.
And it's insane. So, I got the influencers that really appreciate food, and aren't in it for the buck, because we know that there's influencers out there, and I don't knock on anyone, but there's influencers out there now that are going everywhere because people are willing to pay.
Yeah, I mean, I knock
and
on
you're not influencing good food. You're influencing people that are just paying you.
You're influencing your pocket.
Exactly.
Correct.
So you can't tell me something delicious that it's not. They're just paying you, and I understand.
Right.
So I'm not going to pay. You want some good food, you come and get it, and it is what it is.
Yeah, we still don't. We hold that model that like we don't do like media nights or any of that shit. I invite industry people.
Love it.
I feel like their input, and who are you going to trust more than other chefs and other industry people that like food?
Absolutely.
And to me, like, those are the people
those are the people that you want to take care of.
Well, and on top of that, it's like, so if I'm going to go to New York, right, and I want to eat a certain kind of thing, I'm going to call you. I'm going to be like, where do you think I should go? Mm-hmm. If I'm going to go to D.C., I'm going to call my buddy Ryan. If I'm going to go to L.A., I'm going to call somebody else. Like, I'm not going to look at Instagram.
Yeah.
But it's also the change of the world, right?
Yeah.
Like, but the thing is, a lot of these chefs and industry people have good followings too, and have honest followings, right? Honest following is a big thing. And I show people the dynamic all the time. Like, we're super fortunate that Chugs and Ariete have great followings that are actually organic.
Absolutely.
Right? So, like, when you look at the hits on those photos, it's like, it's impressive, but we're not getting thousands of likes.
No.
300, 400, 500. But they're real people.
I mean, I posted just the other day, and I was impressed. I posted 2 Cuban sandwiches next to each other. It just so happened that they were on the flat top together, and the cheese binded, and there was a nice pull to it. I posted the pull, and it got 500-600 likes, and I'm like, and you got 1,000 views on the story.
The cheese pull always gets them, eh?
Cheese pulls are always getting everybody.
The cheese pull always gets them.
And I said, holy shit. Yeah. They just wanted the cheese pool.
Yeah, I know. It's
all
nuts.
the good food I posted, they wanted that. It was the cheese pool.
Yeah,
for them.
The cheese pool.
So, anyways, man, I got lucky with that, and then a month in, I had New York Times come through.
Amazing.
And New York Times I opened in August. The New York Times article came out in October, and that was huge. People are asking me, how'd you get the New York Times? I'm like, I didn't get the New York Times.
No,
the New York Times ate my food, and
but you got them by being different, right? You're cooking Cuban food in New York. That's really Cuban food.
That's real Cuban food.
So you got them because of who you are and what you did.
You're right.
Right.
You're right. And and for me it was that, and then it was like I was getting banged out. Right then it was Food Network and Chopped. And I said, fucking Chopped? I'm like, I watch it. I fucking love it. But I could never imagine myself on Chopped. I'm not a fucking trained chef.
Right.
I'm like, I'm a home cook, bro.
Yeah.
That just happens to have a restaurant that's, going right now. But I said, I have to think about the business.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'm going to go there, put something on the fucking plate. But you're going to get traction. You're going to get followers. It builds your resume. So that started happening. And then, Food Network kept calling, and it just became a thing where I was just like, well, let's ride this shit, bro.
Let me say real quick, was that the episode that also another Conchita person was on?
It wasn't the same episode.
No? Okay.
It wasn't the same episode. Are we talking about Aileen?
No, I'm talking about Tatiana.
Yes, it was Tati.
Yeah.
So it was the same episode with Tati.
Yeah.
Tati and I met back.
The Conchita episode.
Yeah, it was the Conchita episode.
Is that what they labeled the Chopped episode as?
No, it was a Cuban episode. It was actually a Cuban episode. There was another Cuban chef that had opened up Pilar.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
So he opened up Pilar which I had eaten at. Okay?
Where is that? New York too?
It's in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn. Plug.
Not paid for plug.
Great people.
Yeah.
You know, great guy. You know, does Cuban food, and I went to his place and I love the aesthetics. But he was on the episode. He had heard about me. I heard about him. You know, but Dati was on there, and I had met Dati. Dati wasn't even from New York. She was in Boston. She's an executive chef for a hospitality group, and crushes. She does a lot of good stuff. But met Dati and love her.
There's not many of us out there.
No.
Cuban chefs. There's actually like
girl.
a really great.
And she crushes. This girl crushes.
There's a really great.
I'm sorry, just because we said Tati so many times. This is Tatiana Rosana from Envoy in Boston.
Yes, the Envoy. Yeah.
Really great Cuban chef in Australia.
Yeah.
Forget the name, escapes me right now, but her food looks phenomenal. Like really, really amazing. There's not
she's
many.
doing home cooking, or is she elevating?
Elevating.
Okay.
Yeah. There's not many of us, right? So that's why I always find it fascinating. You know, like when there's other elsewhere around the country, it's like that's amazing. You know,
Yeah.
Like Thomas in Charleston.
Thomas.
Right.
And I loved when he did that. I mean,
I
you're
love
talking
it.
Thomas, like you were saying. Thomas comes from the background's different. His cooking background is different.
Yeah.
And you think, I want to cook Cuban food.
Yeah.
Like he thought, I just want to cook Cuban food. You know, and I love to see Thomas's mom when she's visiting, and she's in the back of the house just cooking with them.
Yeah. It's
And
amazing.
I love it. So I get inspired by things like that, and you know, for me it was all right. Like, you know, like I said before, put your chef coat on, and you know, you can still be the bartender that cooks. And it was traction, bro. How do you keep building traction and moving? And these are the things we deal with every single day. So yeah, getting met Dati backstage, it was a great episode for me. It was a learning experience that I don't think I do again.
Right.
As far as Chop goes, but for me, everything I thought about was the store, you know. And those first 3 months were and I was still bartending. I promised myself that I would bartend. I was bartending at Gold Bar, which is one of the most known spots out there. They're on a 15, 16-year run, like EO. And I said, I can't leave this money. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved being back there. So I would work at the shop 6-7 days a week and go 9 to 10 o'clock at night, go home, strap up some nice dapper clothes just to get behind the bar at Gold Bar till 5 o'clock in the morning and go back to work the next morning. And I did that for a year. I said I would do it for a year.
You make those sacrifices at the very beginning. Like, I mean, whew, man, I don't know. I made less money owning this place the first, 3 years as basically a line
Than you've
cook
ever
chef.
made in your life.
Yeah, than I ever made in my life.
But you worked 15,000 times harder and more
Yeah.
than you've ever worked in your life.
Well, it's just, and even apart from when you work somewhere else, your brain turns off at a time.
Because you're allowed to.
Right. When you own a thing, your brain does not turn off.
No.
And it's just
It's because you leave, you start hanging with, your colleagues that work with you, and you go have shift drinks, and you turn off.
Yeah.
It's no longer work.
Right. But and then this dynamic is you have emails, you have things. What's tomorrow? What prep do I have tomorrow? How many do we have in the books? How much money do we have in the bank? What's happening with this? What's happening with that? When's payroll? Oh, payroll's this day. Have we processed payroll? And it's
Crazy.
Oh, fucking
No, you sound like a broken record.
Yes.
But that's every day.
all the time.
And
it's
your brain's thinking it. And you don't want to talk about it, but your brain is I can't imagine having anxiety. I don't suffer from it.
Yeah.
But goddamn, this industry has given it to you.
Yeah.
It's just D, and it's repetitious. For me, it was that anthem, dude, and you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. I tell people all the time. I used to work triples in New York, with commuting and everything, and that didn't feel half as bad as when you own something, because of what you just said. It goes home with you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's nonstop.
It's just
every day.
and it consumes your brain, right? I mean, you'll wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night, did I put that away? Did I process that? Did I send that email? For me, the walk-in has always been such a fucking point of contention for me. Like the walk-in, I used to have to leave the walk-in like super tight and change out the fucking ice and the fish bins and blah blah and all those things.
Super tight. Did I close the door behind me?
Yeah.
Is the oven at the right temp? I have porks in the oven. They need to be cooked tomorrow morning.
Right.
Is it at the right temp, or did I leave it too high?
Right.
So it was like, fuck. Do I go back to the restaurant just to make sure the oven's at the right temp?
Yeah.
And it fucked with you.
And I would come back. There was days that I would come back.
Oh, absolutely.
Did I?
There was days I was back at 3 a.m. because it would fuck with me so much I couldn't sleep.
Did I lower the stock enough? Is it good? Did I lower it though? It was boiling. I lowered it. But did I lower it? I don't remember. And I would just wake up and I would just fucking come straight to work. It didn't matter where I was.
It's the only thing that was gonna put your mind at ease.
Right. And I would come back and I lowered it. Yeah. And it didn't matter. But I still feel better now. I'm gonna sleep for another 3 hours.
What you just said was me. I would go to Go Bar, and while I was behind the bar, I'm thinking these things. And I'm saying, shit, well, I get out of here at 4 or 5.
Right.
Maybe I just Uber straight to the shop.
Yeah.
Check the oven and make sure we're good. So that was repetitious, dude, every day.
I feel like I hear this shit a lot now, more than ever. It's like, my plan is to like open up my own place. Okay. Do you know like what that really takes? Do you know like forget about physical, the mental aspect of what that really takes to open up your own place? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about all these things? How all these things in life will change? Well, no, I didn't really think about that.
No, you don't think about it.
And then it was like, okay, maybe you should think about these things. So I feel like, yes, owning your own place is great. And I think if you think about it enough and you put yourself together enough and you really feel like you have what it takes, like, cool, do it. But at the same time, the security blanket is gone, man.
It's gone.
The security blanket is gone.
It doesn't exist.
And you are now, and this is for me, that I have pretty decent anxiety. Like, now you have other people that you're their security blanket.
I respect you more now that you said that.
Why?
Because I don't deal with so much anxiety.
Yeah.
That, bro, someone that's got it, I'm like, amen. Like, God bless you.
Yeah.
Because you still do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I couldn't do anything else, though. But it's like, you now have become the security blanket for other people.
Yeah.
So that for me is even, like, more anxiety.
It's on you.
Yeah, like...
Them getting a signed check at the end of the week is on you.
100%.
It's nuts to think about.
Yeah. And, it's a big point of pride for me. Like, I love creating jobs and opportunities for people, for them to be successful, and creating a place that they can learn and grow. And, it doesn't always work, but at the same time, it's like, there's still that opportunity there. And we're still trying to provide that opportunity. And, like, for me, I always wanted to create a place that people like me could go to and feel comfortable.
Amen.
Which is like, I love to cook. I love to cook good food. I want to learn all these things. I can do all these things here and still feel very homegrown.
Yeah.
Feel very like mom and pop. Like, we're bigger now, but not like we don't have 50 units. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to know everybody's name. I like to be friends with all my dishwashers. I like to wash dishes with them. I like to do all those things. Like, I love that, and I think that's huge, man. Like, I feel like if we're at ever a point that I lose that, I feel like I'd probably be done.
You lost yourself in the process.
Yeah, because, at that point, what did you do it for at all?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get into this game to make a fuck ton of money. You don't get into food to make a fuck ton of money.
Listen, I tell people all the time, I'm glad you said that. It's one of those things where I go back, and when I go back, they're happy to see me. I don't care what they say when I'm not there.
Right.
All right? But when the boss is back, they think, God, Ecuano returned to New York. Now he's going to work with us for the next 4 or 5 days because they know I run a tight ship. I love them. If it's too hot in the hot box, I order some beers, and I take care of them. Like, right. But these guys know that I'm the first one strapping on the gloves and taking the carpets out, that I'm the first one washing dishes. I fall back into the grind with them.
Yeah.
And no one understands unless you're in our position,
right?
What that does for us,
right?
Like, you helping them out and just getting back on in the grind of things for us is it's healing almost.
For me, it's the happiest place on earth.
It is. It's healing.
Forget Disney.
No, it's healing.
That, like, a Chug's like week. I guess it was week 1, 2. We had a couple of hiccups, like on the line from 7 a.m. to like 12. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to come in and I'm going to do it. And that was like the happiest I've been in months.
Yeah.
Because that's where I feel the most comfortable.
Yeah.
That, for me, it's like, I mean, you need me to crank out eggs and fucking breakfast sandwiches, and you call and you will get them.
It's so subconscious too.
Yeah.
It's subconscious. You do it, and it's. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why. It's that hour, those 2 hours, or those 4 hours. You're not thinking about anything else.
Right.
But washing that dish, cranking that egg out. Nothing else matters because you're in it.
Right.
You're in it. It's when you take yourself out of that moment that you're like, shit. Now everything else is coming.
Now everything else. Now I have to handle everything else.
Uh-huh.
So, you guys are 5 already? Turn 5?
Going into 5. We turned 4 in August. So we're on our 5th year.
Nice. August. Good month.
August
good month.
4th.
Oh, yeah?
2017 was our opening day.
So, what's next?
So now, like we were speaking before, I'm back in Miami.
Wait, is this more breaking news here? Is anybody else?
It's going to be some breaking news. It's not Giorgio breaking news.
That was good breaking news that we didn't get cited for, but it's fine.
Giorgio's breaking
news. We did
news
break that
was
story.
pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, I love that he wanted to break that on here. That was good.
But I will say, New York is there. New York's not going anywhere. Looking into signing a new lease, making sure the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. But I learned a lot through the pandemic. For me, it was what we were talking about before, the backbone.
Yeah.
I missed my backbone. I missed friends and family. I missed, you start to realize, I'm 39, 40 next month. You start to realize what matters most. Where am I going to find my balance for the next 5 to 10 years? With that, our families are getting older. That means our moms, our dads, los abuelos.
Yeah.
And for me, I want to be around. I got nieces and nephews, and I said, well, I like I said, when we started, failure was not an option. There was a moment within the first 8-9 years where I almost came back, but I didn't let myself. It's because my aunt got sick, and I didn't let myself because it was one of the and she didn't let me. Because if I came back from New York without doing anything, I worked great jobs, I ran great restaurants. It was going to be a failure for me.
Sure.
It was like I went over there, but I didn't do what I wanted to do, which was open up a bar or just run a business. Now I've done it, and I just feel like it's the kid wants to come home.
Right.
The kid wants to.
I mean, 15 years is a long time.
It's 15, 16 years is a long time, and shit, we graduated high school at 18. I'm on my 20-year reunion.
Yeesh.
A year later, but because of the pandemic, but Columbus reunion is coming up next week. 20 years since I graduated high school. It's insane. And,
where am I
15,
at?
16 of those years, I was in New York. So it's insane to me. So for me, I'm coming back, and My Cuban Spot will come to Miami. I think we'll have some different
Breaking news!
Yeah.
Breaking news!
Well, we did
Breaking news!
I think we brought. Listen, I partnered up with Jay with Jay, and I did a lot of pop-ups. I think throughout the pop-ups, I needed to feel out how Miami was gonna receive, me. How it was gonna receive, like we were saying, Cuban food is saturated. But am I doing anything different? What am I doing? How is it gonna be? Is it gonna be welcome back home? But I have a good following. I have a great, we're gonna say it again, and it sounds repetitious. It's a backbone and a supporting, people that are willing to support. But they're supporting good food. Right. So they're not supporting just Louie, they're supporting good food. I just want to be consistent, man. I appreciate chefs that are just doing things that they love to do, cooking food that they love to cook. I don't care how you do it. And I don't care why. I care that you love what you do. Because I've seen chefs that have stopped loving what they do and lose everything in the process.
Right.
I've seen it. I've been there. When a chef looks at you and he says, "What's wrong with my restaurant? I brought you in to fix the bar. You fixed the bar, but my restaurant's still losing." And I'm like, it's because you forgot about your love of cooking and being in the kitchen. And like you said, washing a dish.
Yeah.
You know, and you lost that. Well, if you lose that, you're going to lose everything else that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, coming back to Miami, I think it's time. I can fly back to New York whenever, but I think it's time to come over here and kind of, you know, open up My Cuban Spot and a couple of cool concepts that I got along the way with it, bar, you know, derived. But I'm excited. Now we're just shopping. We're shopping. I don't know where I'm going to be. We don't know location yet. But it's, you know, I'm staying away from, I want to build my own, how do I say this? I want to open up in a spot where I'm on my own, you know.
Yeah.
I live on the beach. We know, I mean, the beach, other than Puerto Sagua, that's been there for X amount of years and is, you know, the only staple in Miami Beach. There is no other Cuban food there. Everything else is kind of folded. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell you the only recommendation I could tell you is that opening in Miami, the one thing that's the truest is to stay who you want to and don't conform to what other people want you to be.
I love that you said that.
Because that's like a very big thing, right? From investors to partners to whatever the fuck it may be, everyone's going to want you to be something else.
Yep.
And there's an incredible power in saying no, right? Like, I've obviously made sacrifices for my company as a whole, but at the same time, like, being who you are and doing what you believe in is always going to feel better, taste better. It's just going to be better.
I mean, it's already happened. It's already happened where you kind of feel that energy pool.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, you're here, but you can do it this way and go here. And
yeah.
How about this location and just be away because you're going to make money. And
yeah.
I'm like, you don't understand, though. I'm not in it just to make money.
Right.
If I'm not a happy person in the process and walking to work and being where I want to be, I'm just, it's my happiness.
Sure.
And at the end, my restaurant's going to suffer for it. My food's going to suffer. Consistency is going to suffer. And it's I'm glad you said that because I've gotten that advice before and you can see how people.
And it's quick.
It happens quick.
It's quick. People will turn on you super fucking quick. People will want the thing that you have, but for you to do the thing that you have their way. Fuck that, man.
Yeah.
100%. Like, you know, I've done Ariete completely the way that I've wanted to do it, you know, and I've done it my way through and through and better, right? Chugs the same way.
Yeah.
Like, it's especially with Cuban food, right?
Yeah.
Especially with Cuban food because the market is so saturated. So it's just like stupid shit. Like, Chugs is a great example because it's not classic Cuban food at all and it never will be.
But it's the way you want to do it.
It's the way that I want to do it. It's the way that I want it to be. It's the way that I want it to live. It's the way that I think it tastes delicious. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of respect for the people that try to stay incredibly traditional, and I love that. It's just not who I am.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, there's a lot of power in that. Like, just saying, fuck it. Like, we're going to do this. And it's scary. It's the scariest thing. Because everyone else will be like, especially when it comes to investors and partners. I'm fortunate that I have incredible partners now. But, like, the truth is, you're the one. You're the one that does all the work. You're the one that has the vision. You're the one that wants to put in the work. You're the one that's going to wash that fucking dish. Yep. So, fuck them. I'm just saying it because in, like, the growth part of my life, you know, like, I'm in the heavy growth part of my life. I think about, who am I in 10 years from now?
Yeah.
What am I doing in 10 years from now? What does the company look like 10 years from now? And that's really, like, the majority of shit that I think about, right? But the one thing I'll never do is not be who I am.
Absolutely.
You know? And it's always very interesting because money is nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
Money is nice. Things are nice. Especially when you don't come from a lot of it.
Yeah.
When you don't come from like luxury or comfort or whatever, you're like, man, it would be nice to do that thing, to not
have to struggle.
Right. You know, but there's a happy medium.
Yeah.
I'm okay with like not struggling and making okay money, but still like very much being who the fuck I am.
I mean, you got to find balance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's big. I mean, I think, I owe a lot of that. Michael Chernow. I don't know if you know who he is. So Michael Chernow started Meatball Shop. It was him and Danny Holtzman.
Sounds
Chef
super
Holtzman.
familiar.
So both best friends, both chefs, started Meatball Shop, and I sat down with Michael a couple times, and he's like, "What do you want to do?" You know, Gold Bar was right across Seymour's, which is another concept he opened, and I was like, I want to open up a bar, but I'm thinking about a speakeasy with food. I'm thinking about doing this Cuban concept. He's like, "You're a badass, dude. Like, I've seen you. I've seen your drive. So let's do this. I'm going to give you two options. I'm going to invest in you. You come with me. My group will take care of you. Or you go out there and fucking do it yourself. The way you want to do it." I left that meeting, and it wasn't a meeting. It was two friends talking. But he took time for me. And I said, well, what am I going to fucking do? Week later passes around, and I call him, and I said, I appreciate you. I'm going to fucking do it myself. And I did. And it was the scariest thing ever. You already know.
Yep.
You don't know what to expect, how it's going to go. The only person that you can rely on is yourself, man.
100%.
Putting in the work. You got to put in the work. It doesn't exist. I don't give a fuck how good your food is. If you don't put in the work, food's not going to sell.
I mean,
food speaks food speaks to a certain extent. But if the chef isn't around, if the chef's not doing his thing, if the chef's not putting love into that dish, and almost extending that same love to his sous, to everyone in the kitchen, to his dishwasher, it's not the same. The business will burn in a couple years.
I mean, you said it though. Like, the only person you could depend on, really, is yourself.
It's yourself.
And like, when you talk about investors and you talk about partners and the whole thing, yeah, shit changes. Shit changes. Shit gets like very like cloudy.
And you don't think about it.
I mean,
I think now, years in, you do.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, you don't.
Well, because you're
thinking they believe in me. You're jaded.
You're sold. Here's the thing. Often, always, people will take advantage of how romantic we are about a thing.
Yeah.
How romantic you are. Because I'm super romantic about food. I'm super romantic about restaurants.
Same.
The experience, the thing. But everything that boils down for people that put money into things is a P&L.
Yeah.
That's
P&Ls. That's it.
Your work, your hours, your things, like your hours of
matters.
coaching, your staff,
P&Ls.
the hours of like breaking down time, washing dishes, scrubbing the floor, none of that matters.
No.
What boils down to is a P&L.
And they don't see that.
They don't. And, like, sometimes when you get fortunate enough, and I find myself very fortunate, like, you have people that understand it.
Yeah.
But it's
Amen.
It's not all the time.
Yeah.
Right? As I've proven. It's not all the time. But when you do nail it, you nail it, right? And I think that there's a special place for that understanding. Like, that understanding that, like, it's all on you, right? It's all on you. No one's here to save you.
No.
Your check's not going to get stroked if you don't make it happen. No. And I often wonder, man, like I wonder, and just in this interesting time frame of the world, a lot of these people that think it's, I won't say that they think it's easy, but think that it's easier to like own your own thing than to work for someone else. Like, brother, let me tell you, it's not that I would trade it, but fuck, man. Trade the mental space for where I was before 8 years ago. Fuck me.
For sure.
It's a totally different dynamic.
Fuck me twice.
it's a different world, and it comes down to that one fact: you can only depend on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm also super fortunate that I have people like Gio Fesser that were here with me banging it out forever 6 years ago. Like, I say the story all the time. Those are Mother's Day like 4 years ago. Me and Gio showed up at 3:30 in the morning. We prepped. We worked a Mother's Day brunch. Me and him did 370 covers by ourselves.
Shit.
By ourselves. And it was
just
like...
you two?
Just us two. And it was just like... Those kind of things, like those kind of people...
That's a good feeling, bro.
But that's why Gio is a partner of mine now. That's why he's a partner of mine now. He's not just...
He's been to battle with you.
That's right. Former Pancom podcast guest, Gio Fesser. Find him at Pastelito Papi. 2 eyes. And an underscore. Some guy has a regular pastel. That guy, he's got to let it go. I don't understand. He didn't want to let it go at the beginning, and he's just steadfast. Doesn't want to let it go.
He's been to battle with you, man. And it's important. It's important. Like I said, that shift must have felt incredible after.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of shifts like that, I think, in the last, 5.5 years in several locations now that it's just like I feel fortunate to have great people around me. But that's what I said. You know, the people you hire to put around you, the people you decide to put in your circle are
Listen,
pivotal.
I was speaking to Nick earlier about it. My employees have been there since day one. And I have...
That's incredible. I'm going to do something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh. See?
We dimming the lights?
Look
Oh.
at this. Look what you did.
Turn off the lights.
Look.
Light a candle. That's it. I love it.
All right.
Oh, we just got sexual.
Yeah.
We don't need another cocktail.
Come on. This is so much
We
better.
don't need another cocktail, Nick.
This is only round 2. We usually go round 3 and 4. But in that growth period, I think about like the growth period all the time because like we're in it, right?
Yeah.
We've been thinking about this for years now. It's like, how do we grow? What's the next step? What's next? For me, the bag always needs to be secure, which is this one that's right behind us.
Always.
Ariete needs to be super secure. Like, I will fucking take bullets for that fucking restaurant all day. How do we make sure that that's good? You know, so like, for example, Ariete's going through a full-scale remodel in the next 12 months.
Wow.
It's reinvesting into the bag, making sure the bag is good. Like, that's, to me, means a lot. And then where do we go from there? Like, what are the next steps after that? Chugs was obviously a next step. Nave was the next step. Scapegoat was the next step. And then we have a couple other concepts coming on board.
Scapegoat, that's my go-to.
Yeah, I love that, man.
Scapegoat's my go-to.
I love that. I love the goat.
All the boys there.
Yeah.
Champagne Bobby.
Oh, man.
Edwin. Like, I mean.
Oh, sadly, Edwin moved back up north.
Because he did Montauk this.
Yeah.
That's my guy, though. That's my New York guy.
Edwin is a good dude, man.
That's
such a good guy. I was so sad when he left.
That's my guy. I mean, Montauk is a summer thing.
Yeah, no,
but it's tough because he's just people don't. What people do behind a bar is special. It really is, and it's not. I'm not talking about the cocktails. I'm talking about, man. They listen to your shit. They listen to your problems. We leave the restaurant, and now I can talk about it from both ends, right? We've always been able to talk about it from both ends because we drink. But when you own a restaurant and you can be on that chef side and then kind of get off and go to a bar and talk to a bartender that understands, you're just like, shit, I'm on both sides.
Yeah.
And these people, what they do is it's really insane.
I'm fortunate.
And the staff at Scapegoat is just bar none.
Good. I love that.
Bar none. Alex is great. I mean, it's a great staff. And that's my go-to bar. I'm 4 blocks from Scapegoat.
Oh, I didn't know you were so close.
I'm on 12th and Penn, so it's not 4 blocks, but it feels like 4 blocks.
That's a 10-minute walk, probably.
It's a 10-minute walk.
Yeah.
That was a reference to Alex Pop of Fun Gilardi.
Is he a Pop of Fun?
Deco Drive once put that.
Oh, did he?
They put. I'm sorry, Bobby Gilardi.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Gilardi, Pop of Fun. Were you referencing Alex or Bobby here?
I was referring to Alex, but Bobby first.
Sorry, yeah. So Bobby's
my
Pop
guy.
of Fun Gilardi.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate that I spent a couple years behind a bar, very young, at a fucking corporate restaurant. But when you learn all those things, man, I waited tables there. I was a dishwasher there. I was an expediter there. I was a bartender. I was bar manager. I was bar back. I mean, honestly, that's what springboarded me into like wanting to cook, because I said if I wanted to open up a restaurant, I had to learn all the things.
Of course.
I love this song. God, CeeLo doing his best, man. He's doing his best right here. So
it's a good jam.
Oh man, this to me is CeeLo's like best jam. But, I mean, you learn that dynamic, and something I tell kitchen people all the time, because kitchen people are very like one-dimensional sometimes, and they don't understand how important the other side of the football is, right? And what the front of the house does is pivotal. Yeah. They are your first line of defense. You need to have them on your side at all times.
At all times.
And the bartender is that guy.
Yeah.
They engage with the guest. The guest wants to eat. The guest wants to drink. They just want to hang out.
Everything.
And when you create that ambiance at the bar, man, the whole restaurant sings.
It just flows.
It sings after that.
It's just beautiful. It really is. Listen, I still do cameos at Go Bar. And it's because they hit me up. And they're like, we're not ever going to take your name off the schedule. We know you don't work. But when you're in New York and you want to work, it's yours. But it's great for both of us. Why? Because when I get there and I'm on top of the bar and, you know, it's a show for me. Yeah. I get to be a showman. I get to be, you know, the entertainer that I didn't become. It's my world. And I know that people that come to that bar, you got people that are happy that just want to get fucked up, and you got people that are going through shit. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to be the experience. Me. Once again, you know, I'm the experience. Yeah. So it's special. It's special. So going back to skateboard, it's a dope spot, dude.
I love that.
Music, everything about it.
We're building another bar similar-ish.
Okay.
Here in the Grove. So that's not breaking news yet. Not yet, but it will be one day.
Does that mean cut it out?
No,
it just means we'll take back the dee.
Yeah, no, it's just we're not going to release names or things of stuff. I mean, obviously, since I'm a chef, I find myself like a professional drinker, right?
I mean, yeah.
So I find a lot of like harmony in a really well-run cocktail bar. Like it's really a special thing, like a good cocktail bar. That I love what Jaguar Sun does.
Jaguar Sun.
I think they do great work.
Jaguar Sun is sexy.
I love Lost Boy too.
Lost Boy.
I think they do. It's much more like toned down.
Yeah.
You know, which I'm about that. I love that toned down atmosphere.
It's a different vibe.
Just chill.
Yeah.
You know. But there's a lot of really good bars in Miami. A lot of really good ones.
It's happened within the last 10 years or so. I mean, I was impressed because being in New York, I mean, it's the epicenter.
Right.
You go to any corner, and New York is. People will say, you know, Miami's small. You know,
right.
It's this big.
Oh, this person called.
Here we go.
Here we go.
We got a special caller.
And now, throw me a lifeline.
I have no clue.
Oh, come on. This will be easy.
Hello.
Hey, fucker.
Hold the speaker up to the microphone.
Hey.
Hey, you're live on Panko Podcast, kind of. It'll be edited after, because we don't know if you like your voice that much.
Wow, amazing, man. Am I talking to Louie?
No, you're not talking to Louie. You're talking to Chug right now.
It's Mario.
Oh, man.
Just
I want to talk to you, brother.
Okay, don't talk to me then. Fuck you.
But
what's up, Marty Mar?
Damn, is this Louie from Raw, a.k.a. Raw Moves?
The one and only.
Wow, have you guys spoken about your basketball career yet or no?
We're not getting into that tonight. On this episode, we're not getting into that.
No, I feel you should, but I feel it's a big part of your life. Also, if you can get into your musical inspirations, aka myself, that should probably be the majority of the interview. If you want to get ratings up, okay?
Definitely.
Awesome, love you guys. Hey,
that's it. You don't have a fucking question.
I thought you had a question.
I thought you had a question.
Yeah, about the Peloton, Louie. Do you do it in the morning or in the afternoon?
I can't lie to you because the bike doesn't lie. So
the bike doesn't lie.
I've had the bike for 3 months. I jumped on it for the first time in the past week and a half.
Okay.
Wow.
So I've done maybe 3 or 4 rides since then. So I'm on my way.
Amazing. I saw a picture and you look good already. I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
Right now, this is Chug again. Hi, Mario. How are you?
Hey, great, man. Great. I've been fucking going over the menu for some event tomorrow I gotta fucking do, man. They don't pay me enough for this.
No, they definitely don't pay you enough for that. They definitely don't pay you enough for that.
They don't.
Are you going to show up tomorrow? Are you actually going to do something interesting, or are you going to fuck off?
I'm excited. I'm gonna do something very mediocre.
Shocker.
I'm kind of going with the event.
Okay.
As mediocre as possible, as cookie cutter as possible, but you're gonna love it. Don't worry
But
about
you're
it.
gonna love it.
Love that. Love that. Is this kind of like your electronica album that you dropped in Sweden? All right, fuck off. I'm hanging up on you now. Bye.
Mario told me, so you may not be aware, but at tomorrow's event, instead of Mike or John Falco explaining the food, we're going to have Mario rap about the menu.
Wow.
And Mario told me that what we should expect is the corniest rhymes ever written, and that it would be really more Shakespeare than rap.
I believe it. Sorry, former Pancom podcast guest Pablo Sitzman sitting at the bar.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I love that kid. I mean, bro.
Who, Mario?
Yeah. So
God, I love that kid.
my little cousin Mikey Alvarez.
Mikey's been to Chugs 3 times already.
Yeah. He loves
He's
you
the
guys.
best.
Loves you guys. Loves your food. Always raves and then calls me to critique, and he's like, "All right, you gotta try this, bro. You gotta try that."
Cool.
And I'm like, "All right, got you." Like Mikey's my foodie cousin. He's the guy in the family that I go to. So, but Marty and Mikey have been best friends forever. So I've seen Mario since he was a little jit.
I know, and I hate to gush
But
over Mario, but I'm very proud of the shit that he does.
I love him. I'm proud of him. Watching him on stage, for me, it's crazy because people don't know that he played ball. Like, the guy can ball.
Yeah.
Like, he played ball for Columbus, and the guy can shoot.
remember.
Unfortunately,
Those were my
he wasn't
years.
gifted with height, but the guy can ball. And
He still does, and he makes sure the Graham knows about it.
he makes sure.
Man.
He makes sure that you know he can still shoot from behind the line.
Also, he plays the piano, I guess, some. He makes sure the Graham
He
knows
dabbles.
about that,
Yeah,
too.
he dabbles.
Yeah.
He's also very good at climbing parking garages.
Love that kid. Super proud of him. And dude, it's so good. It's special to watch. It's special to watch.
All right, so where do we go from here? Nick, what are there any current events that we haven't talked about?
Current events, man, this is a hard curveball you're throwing.
I know.
It's
I know.
Una cubita.
Yeah, it's what I
here.
But that's what I do here.
Well, I think there's the current event of tomorrow. That's a current event in the
Right.
food world.
Sure. The podcast thing?
The podcast thing.
Yeah, I'll show up to that.
Excited about that. You think you'll show up?
I'll show up maybe.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
September 22nd. We're recording this on the 21st. You'll be hearing this after it already happened.
Yeah, so it's fine.
So there's that. Yeah, man. I don't know about current events. We're scooping people left and right. You know,
Yep.
getting breaking news out before anybody else does.
I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only other current event is that Chug's going to be open 7 days a week very soon.
I keep forgetting that the schedule
like
is
that.
a little bit in flux.
I know.
You open at 8 till what?
8 till 12, and then Friday and Saturday till 2.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's a long day.
fucking A. That's why we had to open 5 days only.
That's a long day. Staffing and
That's been the
Wow.
thing, is like, can we staff the thing? Can we do the thing?
Yeah.
It's like, it's been great the first, whatever,
I was just gonna ask, what are you seeing through that?
I see, like, really good things. I mean, everything that I kind of, the only bad thing is that it's not big enough. Like, the kitchen I built's not big enough, so we're
Okay.
actually going to build a separate prep room that's on property,
Alright.
just not connected. It's a little bit of a monster, yeah? Like, I mean, it's been great. I think the feedback from the food has been great. Again, it's just like, it's Miami's expression of a diner, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Cuban influence, there's a lot of American influence. Like Infatuation just wrote that thing that
I love it. I saw it. Read it.
they loved our meatloaf, which is great because, like, at the 11th hour, I was like, I think I'm going to take the meatloaf off the menu.
No.
And everyone was like, no, let's just let it ride. And I'm like, okay, let's just let it ride. And I love it. I just didn't know if we could execute it the way I wanted it to be done.
Yeah.
So, but we can, and it's been great, and people love it, and it's just, like, very comforting and delicious. So, and just, like, weird shit, like the pan con is not a pan con at all.
Yeah.
It's like a French dip had a baby with a pan con.
I can't wait to try it. We were speaking about it earlier. But yeah, I love how you just explained
I do. I've
That
done
the
it like
Banguitan had a baby.
Well, the harina con huevo is like if shakshuka had a baby with polenta, and then they had a baby. That's pretty much what it is. It's just there's no like clear cut description of these things because none of them are like clearly Cuban. None of them are clearly American. It's just the influences that I've had in my life.
I was gonna say these are things you love to cook. These are things.
Yeah,
you
I mean, there are
wanted to
things
cook.
I love to eat, and I think things that I feel for the general public they understand.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of weird shit I love to eat that doesn't really fit on that menu.
Yeah.
So it's really can we make it that? You could still have a pan con vite, camarón enchilado, but you could finish off with a pancake if you really want to.
Absolutely.
And that to me is like
Which
love
I just
that.
saw this past weekend. I saw in the stories.
Yeah, the cast iron pancake.
The cast iron
Yeah,
pancake.
it's a fucking situation that thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like one of those things that I hope to. Is that for me? Oh man, sorry.
Watch out.
We're tasting.
Yep, snacks.
Oh, I love that.
Oof.
You want to talk about it? You don't want to tell
Yeah,
me
yeah.
who you are? Come on.
Little
Why
table-
not?
little podcast
Just tell
table
me.
touch.
What am I supposed to even say? I don't even
You're
know.
supposed to say what the dish is.
Oh, okay. So we have a lightly cured Ora King salmon. It's with a whiskey and gin dinner right now. So I cured it the style of like gin. So juniper, bay leaves, pink peppercorn, a little rye crumble. We lightly smoked the salmon as well over juniper, rosemary, and a little bit of applewood. Ostetra creme fraiche, little caviar, trout roe, and then dill to finish it all.
Love that.
Yum.
Cheers, enjoy.
Beautiful
I
dish.
love this.
Little sneak in.
Yeah, mid-level, mid-tasting. Yeah, so we're doing a redemption rye dinner right now at Nave.
Uh-huh.
So this is for that dinner.
Oh, that's going on right now.
Yeah, it's going on currently right now. It's good. So, I think like
It is good.
the thing with Chugs specifically has been getting people to understand that it evolved
Yeah.
as a concept.
Yeah.
So it's not just a breakfast and lunch spot anymore.
Because we know you opened.
Right.
Everything happened, afterwards.
Well, not even just that. Like when it opened originally, it was only like 10 seats inside.
Yeah.
We had 30 outdoors, but like, I mean, I opened that thing up with like no money. So now we're gonna have like this big, beautiful outdoors, and we have a full cocktail menu. We have a large bar, but we still are true to that like breakfast, lunch crowd, and then we have to build a dinner and bar crowd. I mean, that's part of that's part of like what you do as a restaurateur is like, where are the things that hurt? Like, Ariete has been open for lunch, but it never did well. That was never a business that I had the opportunity to grow. But it's also like I never had the foot traffic to grow. So over there, we had the foot traffic to grow so many different facets of the business. So that's what we're doing. And I think it's just going to take more nurturing and like pushing. But like everything I've seen in the first 20 days has been great. People enjoy the concept. People enjoy the room. And people have, I remember I cleared, because I work expo, so I was at the bar. I cleared a couple that was at the bar. And this was like on a Thursday, and she didn't finish her breakfast sandwich. And I was like, is everything good?
Yeah.
Like, she was like, no, yeah, we're just like on our way to somewhere to go kayaking. We've already been here 4 times. And I'm like,
It's not what you expected.
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. She was like, can I just get it in a box so I can like eat it on a kayak? I'm like, perfect.
Amazing.
I can definitely make that happen.
Yeah.
But it's things like that. Like I want to be that every day for people.
Yeah.
And from all those angles, from breakfast, lunch, dinner, late night, like come have a cocktail and just chill, or just have food, or come have breakfast. It doesn't fucking matter. Just waiting for the sirens to stop. So, I think it's been like a really nice first little go. As we continue to go, and now we're going to open up the outdoors in the next 14 days.
Nice.
They just started like, what held that whole thing up was we have these huge umbrellas, and the city wanted engineering on like the footings.
Okay.
So, what's up, Kennard? So, we had to go back. We had to do that all over again. And now we just started construction today on them. But they should be done in 10 days. So the whole
quick.
outdoors that has 60 seats should be open in the next 2 weeks.
60 seats.
Yeah.
I did see that.
Yeah, they just started that shit. No, yesterday. So, it'll take a little bit of time, and just because we can't have 60 seats, I probably won't have 60 seats at the beginning because we still have to learn what it's going to take to operate that out there. But yeah, I mean, it's been great, like really, really good.
And it's like what you said before. It's you're cooking food that you like, you enjoyed eating.
Yeah.
And for me, it was the same with My Cuban Spot. It was, you have people that love, to put their 2 cents all the time. Oh, you don't have, rabo encendido. You don't have this, or you're not cooking vaca frita. Or you're not doing this, or you're not doing that. I'm like, yeah, these are all things that I can put. It's 115 square feet.
I was gonna say we have 115.
Like I needed to create a menu that was important to me first. Mm-hmm. Like I needed to make sure that the 4 or 5 sandwiches of frita, pan con bistec, the Cuban was there. I don't have a medianoche because it's just that's an extra sandwich to me.
Right.
I needed to give you the classics that I loved, and I'm serving it to you the way I want it.
But let me ask you a question. A medianoche, it's just different bread.
That's it.
I know, and like I love them, but people make a
and
big
what
deal
people don't know is that I love them. You're right.
Oh.
And what people don't know is that now you got to find a different a bread distributor if your bread distributor doesn't make that bread.
Right.
Now, how do you find that bread distributor? Is that bread distributor going to be consistent?
Or storage. For
storage for it.
Right.
Bread goes old. It gets moldy. So it's there's a whole bunch of things that go into it, but it's the same. The picadillo is the picadillo because it's what had to go onto the menu. That's my grandma.
Yeah.
Like that's abuela. That's ring, the chime and saying, hey, it's dinner time.
Right.
And when she said it was picadillo night, we were running. You weren't walking over there. We were running to her house. So, these are all, my menu is based on things that, like you just said, that I loved to eat as a little kid.
But also, like, the space dictates so much what you have to do with the menu.
Absolutely.
Right? It's just the simple questions like, okay, so you need to find another bread distributor. Then you have to find storage for that bread because all you're getting is the same fucking sandwich on a different bread.
It's the same thing that happened with the croquetas. I wish I could make them.
Yeah, I know.
I don't have the manpower. I don't have the space.
Or storage.
I don't have the budget. It really becomes now my overhead, is at 30% as opposed to being at 22.
Yeah,
Why?
You still make empanadas?
I do make empanadas.
So, I mean...
I do now. I have 3 empanadas on the menu. Now, of course, I'd love if we had a bigger space. We'd have 6 empanadas on the menu. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's things that go, but for me, it was what makes me happy.
Oh,
what do I love to cook? What's the things that I grew up loving to eat? Because the story is easier told when you're talking about those things that made you happy.
Right. I really feel like the space dictates so much.
Oh yeah.
I remember when Chugs...
you just said it with Chugs.
Yeah, when that menu first started, it must have had like 65 items on it.
Woo!
I mean, that's how I work. I usually like all these ideas.
Yeah.
And then you trim, and then you trim, and then you trim, and then you find a sweet spot.
Yeah.
I'm a big, 25-item menu person.
Yeah.
25 items is like a very good place that you could find things for everybody.
I'm at 115 square feet, and I think I have... almost about 20.
I mean, that's
15 to 20. And these are things that, chicharrones, empanadas, all the sandwiches, all the bowls. I have, I had to put a bowl of huevo frito, arroz con huevo frito.
Oh, man.
And I decided to put that because at the end, everyone's like, well, it's just rice and fried eggs.
It's not.
I'm like, no, but it's the way you serve it. Mm-hmm. I'm doing 3 fried eggs. I'm not doing 2. There's not enough yolk in 2 eggs to get, all over the rice in a 24-ounce bowl. So I'm like, well, I'm going to do arroz con huevo frito. I called it the broke bitch, so I Americanized my menu because I couldn't call it comida de puta on
I know. We called it chef's breakfast.
Yeah.
That's what it was called at Chugs.
And it's what it is.
Yeah.
Way more PG than broke bitch.
No, but I like that one
more than
brother.
PG than broke bitch. But my menu... every name, every knick-knack came from me growing up as a kid. It was Wu-Tang. When you're walking up, you're not listening all the time to, salsa merengue, Tito Fuente. Like, you're listening to Wu-Tang when you walk up, or you're listening.
CeeLo.
You're listening to CeeLo. You're
Right.
listening, like, it's what we grew up in. It's my nostalgia, right? So
Right.
I have to give people and share people what I loved growing up as a kid. It's my story.
Yeah.
It's my turn. You're saying your story through Chugs. You're saying your story through your menu at Ariete. You know, Nabe. Like, this is Michael Beltran.
Right.
Well, this is My Cuban Spot is Louie Estrada, and it doesn't have to be like anyone else's.
Right, exactly. But that's part of the beauty of it, right? Like I tell people all the time, when they come to Ariete, I want you to feel like you're in my house.
Yes.
You know, I want you to feel like you're hanging out with me. Like
Yes.
it's my way to have a conversation with you and never meet you. And listen, if you hate it, then we're probably not going to get along.
Yeah.
That's just the reality.
You don't have
of
to
it.
come back.
Right.
This is
But-
my house.
Yeah, but like from the music to the feel to the vibe to the lighting to the whole thing, like all that matters so much. And for me, it's a way to relay to the guests, like, this is who I am. This is like what I stand for. This kind of food, this kind of music, this kind of room,
Yeah.
this kind of experience, you know. And at Chugs, it's more like an everyday thing.
Yeah.
But you know, that's what really being like building a restaurant that represents who you are. That's what it means. You know?
I just love how you're telling a story in 3 different ways within a 3 or 4 block radius.
Yeah.
You're telling 3 different stories.
Yeah. And
It's fun. It's crazy.
I love that too. It makes my day a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No shit.
It's one of those things that if we were like all over the city, I don't know how my anxiety would probably be worse.
Oh yeah.
So the fact that we're like here is perfect for me. And the fact that these two are connected makes it perfect for me. Like Chugs being right there.
Yeah.
And you know, we have 2 other concepts that are going to go around Chugs.
Okay.
It makes it even easier for me too. You know, like we're going to have 2 outposts that are outside of our area.
Awesome.
So, you know, I mean, I think it's a huge part of like the whole growth of a restaurant. It's like telling your story because you're the only one you can count on, right?
Yeah.
So you got to say your story.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think is it that time?
Time for the wind down.
Can I get another round of drinks? And
I would
wind
love
down?
it.
Hey.
Cheers. One more
Cheers.
time. To the wind down. Cheers to the wind down.
wind
After
down.
we're talking about Yuquitas,
Yuca papitas.
Yuca papitas, it's Yuquitas.
Yuca papitas.
We're going to make the change. We're going to go back to
Listen, you
Yuquitas.
do whatever you want to do.
I'm just saying.
I'm a fan of the Yuquitas. I'm
You
not
see what I'm
gonna
saying?
lie.
Everyone is with Louie here.
I understand it rolls off the tongue better.
Yeah.
I get it.
It doesn't always need to be proper.
I'm just
Life
thinking-
doesn't need to be
I'm
proper.
just thinking about the rest of the menu and the yuca bites.
But the Yuca Bites are cheese-filled Yuca balls.
The Yuca Bites.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yuca Bites are Yuca Bites.
Yeah, I know.
This
Cheese-
is Yuquitas. I'm down with the
Breaking
Yuquitas.
news.
Yeah, breaking news.
Breaking news.
We're going, guys.
We've done it.
You heard it here today. We're going to back to Yuquitas.
2 weeks in this purgatory of Yuca.
Nick lost this one.
Yucatory.
Hang on, Yucatorio.
Michael 1, Nick 0.
That's how it usually goes.
So,
Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we do our wind down, starting with our parting recommendations. This is where each of us recommends a thing that you should do, or see, or eat, or read, or watch. Maybe a stationary
I love
bike
this.
you should
Your
ride.
order has been shipped. Jersey
now.
pork roll.
Done.
Yeah.
Would you like to hear?
It's my favorite emails every
Yeah.
every Monday.
So, Louie, I'll let you start if you want, or pass it off. But if you have recommendations, as long as it's not your stuff, because we'll do the shameless plugs of your own.
No shameless plugs here. I'm gonna pass it on to Mike for this one.
All right. Parting recommendations. I've been watching a fucking terrible show that I cannot stop watching. It's a CW show, I think, but it's on Netflix. It's called
Don't tell me it's the same one. No, okay.
It's called Lucifer. It's very entertaining.
I didn't get into it.
I'm on season 2. I don't mind it.
Okay.
It reminds me of like bad
Because
cop
it's top
shows.
10. It's
What-
top 10 Netflix show.
Is it?
Yeah, it's been there for like 2 weeks.
It's on now and it just goes.
I got into Gotham.
But like so many people have said good things about Gotham.
It's interesting, you know.
I'm
when
a DC comic book guy.
you start to see the different side of when they were young.
Save that for your parting recommendations. Come on. So I've been watching Lucifer.
Okay.
That's my parting recommendation to watch. To eat. The fuck have I eaten lately? Oh, what's a taco place that we went to?
La Placita Taco Grill.
Right.
On Bird and 63.
That was fine. But then the Lebanese place.
Al Amir.
I didn't recommend this yet, have I?
We talked about it briefly with Giorgio, but I don't know if it was a recommendation.
Well, I recommend to go there.
Al Amir.
The gentleman, the owner, in his blue suede shoes and his linen pants and linen button-up, he's quite a delight. And you order some food, you sit there, you know, he comes and he, like, touches all the tables that are all outside in, like, pretty much a parking lot.
It's aggressive touching, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's aggressive touching.
But good aggressive.
Good aggressive. Don't... It's 2021. Take it easy, all right?
Like
People take that the wrong way,
high
okay?
Intensity.
Take it easy.
Yeah, take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy.
OS for life.
OS for life. I highly recommend to go there to eat.
What'd you have?
Oh, man. I ate...
Or what didn't you have?
I had the flatbread thing with the lamb on top. That was delicious. Falafel, delicious. Kibe, delicious. I mean, I ate alone, so like it was like I ate a lot of things that I didn't finish. So...
Did you get any baklava?
I did not.
If you happen to go in the morning, they make it every day. Awesome.
Love me a good baklava.
Yeah.
So those are my 2 parting recommendations. I think I can end there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to stop.
You got
All
recommendations,
right.
Louie, or
I
go?
I do got some recs.
Here we
So I'll say TV also. I've been into Gotham.
That's great.
Kind of been binging Gotham. I'm on season 3.
I love to know that because it's always there and I want to watch it, but I'm not sure.
That's how I was about Lucifer. So
It's not bad. Listen, it's not good, but it's not bad.
we call that, like, it's a bit paquete, but it's good paquete.
Yeah, but that's fine.
It's great.
Yeah.
I'm into it. Gotham is kind of the same way. You're like, paquete, but it's great. It's still, you still see the same story that we all know about, you know, these comic book heroes that we all know about.
Right.
And they're all, like, consumed into one show. Food. Bois for the first time. I was able to finally hit Bois up. And the potato skins. Like,
with caviar?
With caviar. And it's one of those things that just, it's simple. It takes you back, you know, or it takes me back. Shit. We're talking, when we talk about ale houses, old school flannies, you know, so...
Old school flannies, new school flannies, they're all good flannies.
Holy shit.
They're all
flannies
good,
is flannies.
They're all good flannies.
I don't know if I mean, we've talked about Boy a Day on this.
I've never heard that reference.
Nobody's
You're right.
ever said it took me back to Flannies. I love that.
Yeah.
No,
That's
but I mean, you're talking ale house. You're talking about, like, things that you're like, potato skins on the menu. All right, I'm grabbing potato skins. Like, I thought that was genius, and they elevated that, and it was delicious. Yeah. And as far as a book, I'm just gonna say something that got me through the pandemic, which was any book by Osho.
Oh, yeah?
So, self-healing books that take you on a journey, you know, and that help self, I think were great. Any book by Osho, highly recommended. Joy, courage, you know, they're all fantastic. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So my recommendation is...
I have one more recommendation.
Go for it.
So, the lovely people at Masa Craft Kitchen that do croquetas, the event that we did, a couple weeks ago, they had 2 croquetas, the Skip the Line event. They had 2 croquetas that I found were absolutely fucking delicious, and I think that everything that those 2 do is pretty delicious. I would highly recommend them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So my recommendation is a little bit of a follow-up on the recommendation I made when we recorded with Giorgio. I recommended Waiting for Snow in Havana by Carlos Eire.
You did, and I ordered it.
It's good.
You did, and I ordered
You're
it.
an influencer, Nick.
You
did.
You influenced the thing.
I've been influencing a lot of people lately.
You did, and I ordered
That's a
it.
scary fucking
You know,
thought.
I
But go on.
I influenced Yelp Deandra recently. She was looking for things to put in their Hispanic heritage thing, and I'll recommend this also. I'll recommend this first. Even though I haven't had it in like 15 years. The Rellenitos at Antigua, Guatemala on Flagler and like 20-something. Have you had a Rellenito?
No.
I think this would blow your mind. This
Well,
is a very
it sounds, whatever it is, it sounds great.
It's a very typical Guatemalan thing. It's like a Cadbury egg, but the chocolate on the outside is maduro, and the inside is sweet black beans.
Oh man, this sounds
That sounds
amazing.
delicious.
And I tell people about this all the time, and they're like, wait, that's a thing? And I tell them, yes. And as far as I know, there's only one place in Miami that does them, and it's Antigua, Guatemala on Flagler. So, Rellenitos.
Flagler or what?
I think like 20-something.
Oh,
Close to the airport.
what time do they close?
I don't know. Field trip?
But it sounds like a late spot.
Yeah.
I don't know how late they're open, but it's more of like a family restaurant kind of situation, I think. But I don't know. I mean, that's a weird area. Things are open at times that you wouldn't.
Can I
think they're
recommend something I'm excited for?
Sure. Oh man, more food.
We got more food.
I love
More
that.
cocktails, more
open.
food.
Another table touch.
Another table touch.
Oh, is this the one that I was gonna try?
This is it.
Oh, perfect.
What are we looking at here?
So we have a sweet corn and sweet corn and saffron ravioli. A little smoked pancetta, charred corn. It's finished with a bourbon and pork broda. So it's actually raw bourbon in the broda, so it kind of helps finish off the palate. It's for a whiskey dinner right now.
Delicious.
So. Cheers.
Love that.
Enjoy.
It's
Beautiful,
plate.
chef. Thank you. Love that.
I'm excited for, not just because she's a friend, but for Barbacoa.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited for Eileen's opening. Barbacoa,
Breaking out of Finca Town.
breaking out of Finca Town.
Where's that gonna be?
Doral.
I was gonna
Doral
say
Yard.
Doral, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. So Barbacoa by Finca.
Barbacoa by Eileen Andrade.
But is that whole thing because it's part of a? Isn't it part of like one of those, like not a? I'm not gonna say a food hall, but it's like I thought it was like. What's that shit that they had in Wynwood? Like the Wynwood.
I know what you
Market?
mean. I know what you mean.
Was it not?
No,
is it not part
no.
of one of those?
It's called Doral
I don't
Yard.
think so.
Right.
It's at Doral Yard, but it's a restaurant
regular-
in within. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
Barbacoa
excited
by
about
Finca.
that.
Cool. So the recommendation I made when we recorded with Giorgio was that book. If you want to hear a little bit of conversation with Carlos DADE, he's on episodes 250 and 252 of another podcast done by a friend of mine called In the Corner Back by the Woodpile is the name of the podcast. It's called In the Corner Back by the Woodpile.
That's the whole name.
That's the name of the podcast.
It's a large name.
And Carlos was on episode 250 talking about his childhood in Cuba and his experience with Operation Peter Pan. And then in 252 is a very different episode because Carlos is a professor of medieval history and religious studies. So it's a lot of history of the Protestant Reformation. So if you're into either of those two things or both or whatever, 250 and 252 of In the Corner Back by the Woodpile. Both super interesting, but if you're interested in Cuba and maybe after you read the book, very cool to hear that conversation. I'm gonna get into this. And this is where we do shameless plugs. So tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find your stuff.
At the moment, I'm looking at Mike's face while he tastes this ravioli. No, but all right. So shameless plugs. You can find me. You can find My Cuban Spot in Brooklyn and Gowanus. We are there 6 days a week, Tuesday to Sunday. Soon to come, as you heard earlier, we will be in Miami at one point. Stay tuned for some pop-up dates. Doing some things with my boy Ted at Ted's Burgers. So we got
Those burgers look good.
They're delicious.
I haven't tried them, but they look fucking
I'm going to say top 2. It's very heavy.
Careful,
Hold up.
Careful, that's
I haven't had
dangerous realm.
I haven't had the area burger. I've heard of it.
Well, I mean, to me, that in the burger world, like USPS and the area burger.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
So I've heard about the area burger once again through my cousin Mikey.
Yeah.
Which is my go-to. But when I came to Ariete, I dabbled into another 10 different dishes.
Yeah.
So I will say I haven't had Ariete. I will say Ted's and USPS is top 2 that I've tried. Ted does a great pop-up, but delicious, and I'll be hitting up a pop-up with him soon at J. Wakefield.
Cool.
But we got a couple dates coming, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, for sure.
Jay Wakefield, also friends of the podcast. We got to get Jonathan on, but Maria Cabre has been a guest on the podcast.
Nice.
Mike, shameless plugs.
All the things.
All the things. This is where we play
Chugs will be opening 7 days a week within the next 7 days.
Very good. This is where we'll play our Sade All the Things song.
All the things. I still got to recommend all my shit. I mean, we've done this 80 times already.
All the things.
All the things.
All the things.
Yeah, all the things.
All the things, all the things, all the things.
All the things.
Pancom Podcast shameless plugs. dademag.com/PancomPodcast. Pancom Podcast on all the social media things. You can support what we're doing around here for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/DADEMAG, DADEMAG. There are now, I want to say 3 or 4 people who are in the Abuela Mami tier.
Ooh.
So they're getting Abuela Mami coffee every month.
Wow.
And let me tell you, this is
Wow.
this is such a
Wow.
good value that I'm really not making any money on that tier.
Shocker. Shocker.
But it makes me happy. It makes me happy that people are supporting what we're doing. They're getting coffee every month. Make sure you invest in a coffee grinder before you order this. It's all whole bean coffee.
I know, that's a good coffee.
That's the good coffee.
Get a grinder, people.
Get yourself
Get
a
a
grinder.
grinder.
Little
Do
bird
yourself
grinder.
a favor. Get a
Don't do
grinder.
blade
big
grinder.
difference.
Get yourself a bird grinder.
Yeah, I
Bird
got a
grinder.
good grinder.
I'm saying that like I have one. I don't have a bird grinder.
Shocker.
You know, it is what it is.
Later tonight, I will post a picture of Nick's kitchen after he was done cooking at his home for 4
We're talking
people.
about the camarón enchilada dinner?
Yes.
I
yes.
sent it to Mike just to give him anxiety.
Oh, man.
Oh,
And
shit. I know
and
he's probably
zoomed-
still dying. He's
and I
dying
zoomed
at the
in.
fact that it's still there.
No, it's not
it's-
still there.
It's,
It's
I zoomed in everywhere to see all the things that would make me upset, but it was just the overall. So,
I will
know,
say, I mean, in fairness to me,
sure.
it was a mess before, but what I sent you was the after dinner, like people trying to help by bringing stuff into
Yeah.
the kitchen and leaving it on the counter. So on top of the cooking situation, there were like 3 bottles of wine and 6
It's-
wine
it's the
glasses
aftermath.
and- yeah, it
This
was
sounds like a bunch of fucking excuses, because that shit was a fucking train wreck. But
I also opened like 4 cabinet doors just to bother him.
Were you able to taste this camarón enchilada?
no.
No. He has to eat my steak and risotto first.
Oh, man.
Steak and risotto?
It bothers him that this is a thing.
Risotto and steak don't go together.
They don't, but what kind of steak and what kind of risotto are we talking about?
No, I mentioned that I made this
A mess
once.
on top of a
Steak
mess.
and risotto?
Yeah.
Yeah, steak and risotto is a good time.
Yeah, you know what?
You gotta
Good
take-
night.
it's
That's
a-
all it is. It's like
Yeah.
you're going to have a steak and a risotto. You know what? Go the fuck to bed.
That's,
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah.
the idea. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
you're
coma.
Going to, you're going to bed.
That's coma.
You're going to bed. Sometimes, but okay. Sometimes you want coma food.
I mean, okay. I'm
don't-
I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
I just want to say the day that
There's
this
things that lead up
podcast
to
comes
that,
out, whoever the 10 people that listen to this thing, I will post a picture on my Instagram
You're
of
welcome
Nick's
to.
kitchen.
Go for it.
Post cooking for 4 people. 4
Those
people.
6 people.
My bad. 6 people at his
Yeah.
home, and the absolutely like the fucking train
It was a
wreck.
disaster.
It was a fucking disaster,
Yeah.
and just looking at the photo made me want
I
to jump
can't
off
wait
a
to see
bridge.
these pics.
I can show you the picture, but
go
I
for
won't
it.
show the rest of the world till later.
Till later.
Yeah.
So anyway, the other thing, as far as shameless plugs for Pancom Podcast, if you want to advertise with Pancom Podcast, info@dademag.com.
Just give us all your money, people.
Give
Just
us all the money.
Do the things.
Give us all the money that you have. But we are looking for advertisers for 2022. Shout out to this episode's sponsor. You will have heard their ad already, but Bat Club USA. If you have a kid and they need baseball bats every year, that's what you want to use. Bat Club USA. Oh, Louie's looking at this picture of my kitchen.
6 people. 6 people.
Holy shit.
But like I said, this is the people bringing shit to the kitchen after. a
Yeah,
photo.
no, I know. I got it.
There was a lot of stuff happening, you know? People that had dessert, and they brought dessert containers and 3 wine bottles. There
We're
was a lot of
talking
stuff
about
happening.
10 cabinets open.
Yeah.
It's big.
The cabinets were. I was putting shit away.
There's towels everywhere. Forget about the
Yes.
3 towel
Oh,
rule
no.
for cooks. Like, it's just
No,
like
no. The
towels,
towel situation was a nightmare.
bottles open,
Oh,
things randomly like they're falling over.
Oh yeah,
But
Things are
listen,
hanging off the,
but
hanging
the
off
food was
stove.
delicious.
Listen, people were happy.
All right.
People were
Yeah,
happy.
because they didn't have to clean after. They just
But
brought
they're
everything
also
back
your
to the
friends,
kitchen.
right? So they tell you like, the nice response.
No, I had people there who would tell me if it was shit.
That's true. You do have people there that would tell you if it
For
was
sure,
shit.
for
I'm
sure.
too OCD. I would have died.
Yeah, you see, I'm the same way.
I clean up after myself
You
as,
send me the
as
photo.
I'm working.
Send me the photo. I was laying on my couch. I go, oh my god. This is
As I'm working. I would have put someone else to work
No,
that
listen.
was there. I would have been like, hey, you want to wash the dishes?
Listen,
Nah, I'm kidding.
almost all of that was aftermath because as I was cooking, when I finished with the thing, I put it in the dishwasher.
Wait, you're saying that you were cleaning as you cooked?
I was putting things in the dishwasher.
I'm gonna ask.
I wasn't cleaning as I cooked.
I'm gonna
I put things
ask
in
for
the dishwasher.
references to make sure that actually happened.
Nobody was paying that close attention.
I'm just saying. I'm gonna ask for references.
Because you
I
know
just
what?
wanna
I'm also really bad at accepting help. So people ask if they can help, and I'm like, no, get out
Are
of here.
you bad at accepting help? I didn't even notice.
I am.
Oh man, shocker.
Why is that a surprise to you?
No,
It's
I'm being
actually
super
not.
sarcastic.
He's being super sarcastic, yeah.
Sarcasm. Thank
I
you.
caught that. I caught
I
that.
appreciate that.
So everybody wants to help, and I'm like, no, get the fuck out of here. Go hang out, and I'll cook.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
It's a good host.
Whoever is gonna pay extra to listen to this fucking shit show, will get 5 quick-fire
That's right.
questions.
If you're a Patreon person from here on out, you get the lightning round.
So basically, just my buddy Phil. You're gonna get the 5 questions.
There's a bunch of people, man.
Is there a bunch of people
Yeah,
now?
there's a bunch of people.
We have 100.
Bro, well, no, not 100. We'd like 100. In fact, not only would we like 100, a while ago we made a promise. If we got 100 people on Patreon, we would send each and every one of them a croqueta doorstop.
Wow.
Oh man,
The doorstop that is also a croqueta.
that was a big promise.
I also told people there's no guarantee that this will not just be a frozen croqueta with a screw.
That's
That's the installation process.
in dry ice.
No, there's no dry ice. We don't have a dry ice budget around here.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah,
budget.
that adds
I
a lot
love
of
that.
shipping weight. But this might just be a manila envelope with a frozen croqueta and a screw. But if we get to 100, everybody gets one. So,
Man.
lightning round time.
Are we close?
By the way, since you rightly give me shit, this is where everybody who's not paying stops hearing things. Thank you, Louie, for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you guys. I appreciate
This
you
has
guys.
been a
Louie,
real
thank you so
fucking
much.
treat.
This has been an absolute fucking pleasure. I can't wait to ask you these 5 questions that I'm not sure what the fuck they are, but I'm gonna ask you anyways. I'm super ready. Boop. And we're out.
And we're out.